Maestro Savall, you are one of today's best loved and most revered musicians. Every time when I hear you and your ensembles playing medieval, Renaissance and Baroque music, I am amazed by the spontaneity, by the freshness and the deepness of your interpretative art. How difficult is, Maestro, to unveil the essence of different works by different composers?
It's a matter of preparation. I'm working on this different styles of music 50 years, which is a lot. And also I think it's a question of conception, learning, making the simulation of the things you learn, and then making music with people that you can share, and they give you also stimulation to make an evolution. I have to say that in this last 30 years I have met a lot of great musicians from many different countries, especially from Turkey, from Bulgaria, from Israel, from Armenia, from Morocco, etc. And every of these contacts is for me a great occasion to discover and to understand things that before I have not understood.
Yes. Nobody can play medieval, Renaissance and Baroque music with such devotion and with such clarity. When you play a piece with your ensembles, HESPÈRION, la Capella Real de Catalunya, or le Concert des Nations, every note has a deep meaning, every detail is revealed. For you, Maestro Savall, music is in fact the life itself, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, music is a way to reach the human soul with something very special, because the music that we perform is music created for also for genius people, sometimes anonymous, sometimes we don't know what is the composer, but always music which is full of emotion, beauty, of art. And this is one of the most beautiful mysteries of the human life. To see everybody knows the notes from the scale, but sometimes it's somebody who makes a melody you will never forget. And it's what I understand, but surprised me when I discover a new score, or when I perform a piece that I never heard before. And then the responsibility of the performer is also to take the same magical moment with the performance, to give this music which is written, which is not audible, to give a chance to become what she is, the music, and then to make this moment where you, with your sensitivity, with your knowledge, with your experience, with your everything, you bring this music alive and share with the audience.
Music always had a spiritual dimension, which is, of course, very important for human evolution. But, as you said in the past, music can be used by many people for many wrong things.
Well, the music can be used for different things. We know the music was used to convince people to go to Jerusalem to kill Muslims.
Yes.
And music was used in the Vietnam, music from Wagner, to bomb the people. This is something rare. Normally, music, it's something that's part of the human life. Music is used for celebrations, for memory, for remember somebody who is not there, for a spiritual connection with superior dimension. But when we see only the static aspect of the art, music, then we arrive to the situation from Auschwitz. For these German people, very cultural, very developed, but without the spiritual dimension. And then the human being is destroyed. The human soul, it's not. Then the music has not the same function. I think we have to conserve always these things. Static and spiritual has to be always together.
What should be the greatest virtue in a musician, Maestro Savall?
The greatest
virtue.
Yeah. Well, I think for a musician, the most important thing is to be authentic, to express with authenticity what you have, what you feel for the music. I say always, we cannot lie with music. Then a performer cannot make feeling like, you have to really feel something. And the musician has to understand the music and make the music serve and bring all the emotion through his sensibility to the audience.
Yes. You've recorded, Maestro, so much European music from the 17th and 18th centuries. What is, in your vision, the essence of Dimitrie Cantemir's art?
Dimitrie Cantemir's art is, I think, for me, it's a great personality from this time. He's not the only musician, he's a historian, philosopher. It is something very typical from the legend, from this aspect of this in advance, of course.
Yes.
And I think the music for Cantemir has this magical atmosphere from music from the Ottoman Empire. He develops the style of this great art to compose, using all the modes, using very different modes, which are for us not anymore so easy to understand, and then use the complexity of the rhythmical conception of the makams. I think it's a very good example of what we can say also an aspect of the European art. And I think today we have to include this also in the Baroque history of the music.
Yes. We know that in medieval times there were no big differences between Orient and Occident. There were no harmonies, no counterpoint. But then the Occident has moved in another music direction. Please elaborate on that, Maestro.
Well, I think when we talk about the Cantemir compositions and descriptions, I think we can see this, the style of the music of the time of Cantemir in Istanbul. It's in the conception, still it's the same of the conception of the music that we have in before 14th century. That means the music is conceived by a melody with different rhythmical evolutions, with different tonalities, but there's no harmony, there's no counterpoint written. And then that means that when we perform, happens many things.
Improvisation.
Because improvisation is...
You allow the improvisation in the large pieces, maybe.
Of course, yes. Also, you cannot, it's not possible to play a makam.
Of course.
Without the taksim.
Of course.
And taksim, it's a prelude.
Yes.
In the Baroque time, the composer we have today, written preludes. But the composer, Sams, Bach, Handel, Vivaldi, Marais, when they have played prelude, they have improvised in the time.
Of course.
And the makams for the taksims for the music for Cantemir has to be also improvised. And it's something which makes this music at the same time old and new.
Yes.
Every performance of a piece of this
is different.
It's different, and it's very rich, and the music becomes really something sometimes difficult to say, because you have a feeling, oh, this is old but sounds very new. And then this is, I think, the magical thing for this repertoire.
Well, your repertoire is immense, and it's a connection to history. Every project is different, and how do you approach, Maestro, a new musical project every time?
Well, I approach every new project studying the history, studying the personalities, trying to understand. I read then the most important books regarding the project. For every project I do, I normally have a library of 30, 40 books they have to read and know. And then when I'm going deep on the elements, then I start to work in the music and see then how I can put the music and the history together. Now I'm working, for example, in the relation from Byzantium and Venice. And it's now this year I'm profounding, studying the Orthodox music. And
which is great, yes.
Which is fantastic. And
yes.
I'm discovering incredible things, and I'm also looking for the history and the relation from the Byzantium to Venice, yes. And Venice to Byzantium, and then to Russia, to the Balkan region, to the Africa. And it's when you discover that the Orthodox people was with the Copt church, also in Damascus. It's you things that nobody talks about today, and it's very important to discover all these ways, also to sing today this beautiful music with solo boys making beautiful ornamentations and singing with improvisation also, and then a vocal ensemble accompaniment. This is for me a discovering also of a rich culture, and I think this is my function. It's to help the people to discover things and bring light on the history and the art.
What is the essence of viola da gamba's sound, your principal instrument?
It is a mix of human voice and a combination of lute and cello, we say, for people that don't know.
Yes.
That, no? Because the viola da gamba has 6-7 strings. The tuning is like a lute. And we have frets like a guitar, and this makes a very special sound. And then we use the bow, making the pressure on the house, not on the bow, on the wood. That makes a direct contact with this pressure. And the ancients...
The third finger.
The third finger is the soul of music.
Yes, the French are saying that.
L'âme de la musique.
Yes.
And this is, I think, what is very specific for the viola da gamba, which is also particularly for all the instruments in the world. They are played on the knees. All these instruments yes. are played this way. In all this area, we have this type of instruments. So.
Yes. Your dear departed wife, Mrs. Montserrat Figueras, had a unique voice. On stage, the bond between you and your wife was always telepathic. How would you describe now, in 2015, your special partnership with Montserrat Figueras?
We have, I think, we have make a very good combination in the sense that we was both very different. We have been very good, as you say, a sort of telepathic or sensitive. This is not only with my wife. In fact, this is my way also to have contact with all my musicians.
Yes.
They have discovered my way to connect with them. They don't need words. We communicate with the gestic, with the eyes, with many different things that we can connect, because when you are playing, you cannot tell words. You have to be... And this was also the same with Montserrat. But Montserrat was a very spiritual person, a very also sensual. This combination makes his special character.
Yes.
You know, but this sensual and spiritual. And this together, it's a miracle.
You refused, Maestro, one of the most prestigious Spain's prizes, the National Music Award. In fact, you've been quoted as saying, "It is very hard now in Spain and in Europe in general. The problem is there's little communication between the political and cultural world, and the situation in Spain is so disastrous. I think Spain is a country that turns its back on its musical heritage. Can you expand on that, Maestro?
Yes, I think it's very simple. We have in not only Spain, in most of the countries, we have a musical structure from the state, which makes the state give enough money to make a financiation from symphony orchestras, opera theaters, big vocal ensembles, as a model, like was in Berlin, Vienna, Paris in the 19th century. In the 19th century, in Germany, in Austria, was the great composers from Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, Schumann, Brahms, etc. In Spain, we don't have one simple, really universal composer in this time, but we have the same structures.
Yes.
But our music, our more universal music, it's gone from the Baroque to the Renaissance to medieval time. And for all these periods, it's nothing.
Yes.
Nothing. That means that the Spanish government is ignoring totally his musical heritage, because all this ancient music is only made by private individuals, but without any help
yes.
from the Spanish government. Only sometimes a little help for travel, but so very small things. And I think this is a big responsibility, because we have the greatest medieval codex, the most beautiful codex, Cantiga Santa Maria, Codex Las Vergas, Libro de Montserrat, and then we have the most beautiful cancioneros from the Renaissance, yes. From the Siglo de Oro. We have the greatest polyphonic maesters like Cristóbal de Morales, Francisco Guerrero, Tomás Ruiz de Victoria, and all this music.
Yes.
Is in these moments in the best music of the world, and in Spain they don't know this. I think that's a matter of ignorance and
yes.
no interest.
My last two questions, Maestro. 24 years ago, when you adapted and performed the music for Alain Corneau's film Tous les matins du monde, you have demonstrated that this wonderful music can reach even the pop charts along with artists like Michael Jackson or Queen. But I think it is not easy to find people who are ready to absorb new musical horizons today.
Well, it's a difficult time for projects, for quality projects, because we live in a moment which the decision to make things, it's more with the rapidity of making money. If the shops, they present in books and records, they can sell a lot in a short time. And the best music is not living in the same art as the pop music. In the pop music, yes, we have to sell in 1 week thousands of records. But for the classical early music and the ancient music in general, you need time. There are projects that you need time to present to the people and to give time to people recognizing and discovering. And this is the big difficulties today. To see the projects and have time the people to recognize and be interested in this. But for this, we have to see the records in their shops. If they are not there, it's difficult. This is the same problem for all the special quality things in all the artistic areas.
And finally, Maestro Savall, a few words for your admirers from the western parts of Romania. You are for the first time in Timisoara.
Well, I discovered a beautiful city with a mix of very interesting things, and I can see the city has been having a very interesting history, and I'm very excited to discover it more, and I will spend the next time more work on to try to understand all the characters of the city.
Thank you. It was an immense joy to talk with you, Maestro.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.